Hi, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Dvorit Mausner, representing the University of Pennsylvania, and I'm so glad you're in this session. Today we're talking about inspiring millennials to give. We're really thinking about the ways that we can help millennials give to the causes that they already support. And so I have three goals for today's session. One is to offer you tools to make this happen, the ways that you're working with your young donors. Also providing examples specific to the University of Pennsylvania, hopefully some things that you can implement in your own organization. And I also want to demonstrate this impact. We'll start with a case study. At the University of Pennsylvania, we work with our undergraduates. In this case, for your organization, it might be those who are a part of your cause who you may not be ready to ask for a gift. Think of those who are associated with your organization and how you can start energizing them and educating them while they're still just getting to know what it is that you do. With our undergraduates, we do this through the Penn Traditions program. While they're on campus, from the day they set foot on campus as freshmen even, we start to talk to them about our history, our traditions, and in turn, our finances. The importance of philanthropy at Penn is enormous, and we don't want to shy away from giving this information to our undergraduate students. Once they've graduated, they become a part of what we call Y Penn, our Young Penn Alumni group. In this case, we have many opportunities to engage with our youngest alumni and in turn make sure that they are continuing their philanthropy with the university. We have timed this fairly appropriately here. The Penn Traditions program into Y Penn started around the same time that we were thinking more strategically about including our young alumni in our Making History campaign. At that time, the Penn Fund, where I work, the annual giving fund, made a strategic decision. We wanted to reposition our engagement with our young alumni to help incorporate them further into the campaign and also ensure their longevity as donors with the university. So what we've done is begun focusing more closely on our youngest 4 alumni classes. For your reference, these are those donors within the age range of about 22 to 26 years old. In fiscal year 11, this new position at the Penn Fund had a strategic focus on participation. And this fiscal year, which we're just concluding now, fiscal year 12, we're really much more focused on our leadership donors. We're taking a look at the long-term strategy inherent in both, and we've seen great results in either case. Let's take a look. In fiscal year 11, as we focused on participation, receiving gifts from as many donors as possible, we saw record-breaking results. And again, this past year, we have found that when we focus on the leadership commitments, the higher level gifts from our young donors, not only do we see returns in the immediate time frame, but that those donors are the more likely ones to return to us, to be retained as donors. So we're very happy to see that we had a 44% increase in leadership donors this year as we continue to close out our records. How did we do this? Well, I'm going to walk us through today 3 opportunities to really incorporate young donors more into your organization. And here's our outline. We'll start by walking through some targeted donor information. Now, first of all, the best way to talk to your young donors about what your cause does is the same way as you do for any donor, and that's a focus on your case for support. They want to know why you need their help, and they want to know that you're using their money in the best way possible. And as a result, it's as equally important with your young donors to focus on the impact of their gift, just as it would be for anybody else. Now, the difference is putting this information in a framework where young donors are more likely to find that information and young donors are more likely to feel that it's relevant to them. So this might include having a website, having strategic and specific email updates. Also, consider your mailings and anything that you send or hand out in person, your brochures, for example. And I'll show us some examples of these at the Penn Fund, and we'll start with our website. We have a website for all of our donors to access, anyone in the university community. And here you'll see that we do have a subpage specific to our youngest donors. And I'll walk you through the information that we have up at the top. This is the simple way we've chosen to organize our website, but certainly any format could work. What's most important is not the organization, but the information that's included. That would be, for example, the who. We found through research that young donors are especially interested in the social aspect of giving. So who are the other donors and who's getting involved as a volunteer? Listing names anywhere that you can of young people so that other young people can associate with those individuals. This will be key for some of your strategies. It's also important to look at the what. How much does someone give? What's the total impact? So what is a typical gift and what's its purpose? These are questions that we put in front of our young alumni with clear and simple answers, as well as where. Again, referring to the social aspect of giving, where are your donors located? Do they want to get together? Do they know each other? When we look at our young donors, we often think about how many are in New York, or how many are in Houston, or London, or Tokyo, or it doesn't matter. As long as we are treating them in a way where we recognize that they are dispersed and that we are also giving them opportunities to network, we find that the where is becoming more relevant to our young donors. Why? Well, you can give your case for support in the organization's words, or you can do it in your donors' words. And for young alumni or young donors, this might be critical. So we list on our website in a simple format all of the responses that we've received in online giving, where folks will tell us exactly why it is that it's so important that they're participating, why they're giving back. Putting your donors' words from young donors specifically online is a great way to share your story. The when. Many of your young donors are not educated about your philanthropic timelines, so put out there as frequently as possible what is your fiscal year start date and end date. Make sure that there is no information that you suppose they already know. It's very important to be educating your young donors, even at the most simple level. And of course, donor records, another aspect of when. When were these records set? What years did you do the best with your young donors? This is interesting information, and it creates a little bit of competition. And finally, the how. Just make sure that you are making it as simple as you can. Research shows that if someone gets to a site and it's difficult to make a gift, they're less likely than if it were very easy, even if their philanthropic intent is the same. So for example, with a URL, you might send them to the website, then send them to the giving link, then send them to the appropriate drop-down. I created a shortened URL. You can too. tinyurl.com is just one example. And you might have a ending that is just simple for your volunteers to share. I have Young Penn Alumni, our YPA, so I have YPA Give. If you use this with your volunteers, it slips off the tongue. It's much easier. This is another simple way to encourage young donors to become involved. Going back to targeted donor information, and again, the same case for support but the young perspective here on our website, it's also important that you think about how this is integrated into your emails, your mailings, and your handouts. Let's focus a little bit on emails. What would you share in an email to a potential or a current donor? Well, to a potential donor, it might be your giving statistics. How many people have already given? In my experience, young people, and generally anybody, would want to be a part of something that's doing very well. So sharing stories of success gives them an opportunity to be a part of that success as a donor. It's very encouraging. Also, any relevant news. What updates have happened? What improvements have happened? If you're saying that you have a case for support, demonstrate that case throughout the year through your email campaign. This attracts young people, as well as an insider perspective. Everyone wants to be a VIP. So think about what news, what information, what donor statistics you may only share with those who have made a contribution, and consider what information is most relevant to your young donors at that time. Now, of course, there are also the mailings, the handouts, and the brochures, and we do use these at the Penn Fund. Mail is not dead. What we find is that it's most important to send something that is targeted for your young people. So, for example, if we send something like this in the mail, we will put Young Penn Alumni on the envelope and again on the letter inside. The information is specific to our youngest donors. We want them to know that we see them as a cohort, and that's consistent in everything that we do. We are letting our young people know that we have refocused our perspective on them and that we're interested in what they have to say and also in the ways that they want to give back. And so by representing that as we send out information with a young alumni branding, we're finding that young donors are more interested in being a part of what we have going on. Also, our handouts and brochures. Anywhere that I go, for example, if I have a donor visit, I take things with me that are strategically targeted for our youngest donors. So this sheet might be something I bring which has information specific to our youngest cohorts, how much they're giving, how many of them are giving, where they live, whatever it is. But if you do have something you plan to hand out and you are making a concerted effort to target more young alumni donors, I encourage you to have some paper that goes along with that strategy. Now let's go to targeted donor levels and amounts. This is key. It's one thing to focus your information on your young people, but as donors, are you also targeting the methods of their giving? What do I mean by this? Well, for example, you may have a leadership level or a leadership society, as we do, the Benjamin Franklin Society. And with this, we realize that there is a great impact in gaining more members as they're younger, to give them opportunities to network with older members and to feel a part of the leadership core of our giving. But at a $2,500 minimum commitment, there are many young alumni who would not be able to join this society, and yet, what a great teaching opportunity. So some years ago, the Penn Fund decided to striate our gift levels so that now we do have a young alumni level specific to our youngest donors. And here it is. At 0 to 4 years out, which includes our senior year donors, our first gift level is $250. And as you saw in our earlier results slide, we were able to increase membership by 44% this year by targeting our message more to our young donors who we felt could make a gift at that level. Once they realize it's an opportunity for them to take part in something that with which they can grow over time, we find that their excitement to be a part of this group is not only stronger today, but will be stronger down the line. We also like to list our top 10. So a few weeks ago, we listed all of the classes from our university that had the highest number of donors in the leadership level, our Benjamin Franklin Society. And here you see how it does work. Our senior class had the highest. In third place was our class of 2008. We noticed this because it is the last year they enter the Leadership Society at $250. And again, the class of 1998, this was their last year to enter the society at $1,000. So we saw a spike there too. These numbers have continued to shift, and we've seen more young alumni in the tail end of the year join the Benjamin Franklin Society. It's really exciting, but it's possible because we have recognized their need for differentiated levels. There are other societies that you might want to consider, and one at the Penn Fund is the Ivy Stone Society, in which we honor our loyal donors for 3 years of consecutive giving. This is another opportunity to attract young donors who like the idea of loyalty. They like the idea of being perfect. So for example, in order to ensure perfection without missing a year of annual giving, we sent a "You Are Perfect" postcard to our youngest donors who had a perfect level of perfect history of giving. This is to remind them, don't lose out, maintain your Ivy Stone Society membership. It's a great way to talk to your youngest donors about building a sense of loyalty. It's a community of donors. It's a relationship that they've built. And this is our opportunity to thank them for every year showing their dedication. Again, earning recognition, this is very important. If you have a young donor and they see over the long term that they can grow with your organization by being awarded a recognition for their loyalty, this is a great way to maintain that bond from now into the future. Let's pause here for a second and take a look at our gift form that's specific to our young donors. This is something I take with me on a donor visit or to an event. It's an opportunity for us to share with our young alumni specifically the donor information that they need with the amounts that we're targeting. This again is for the Benjamin Franklin Society and the Ivy Stone Society, whether it's leadership giving or loyalty giving. It's helpful to have some of that information on a clean and simple gift form. At the top of our gift form, we collect important information for contacting our young donors. It surprises me sometimes how often organizations will say, we have no way of contacting young people. Well, when you engage with them at any opportunity, make sure you are asking for a cell phone number and an updated email address. In the university community, it's very common that students will have their school address and then will leave campus. And at that time, the university might have no way of being in touch. At Penn, we make a concerted effort to collect the non-Penn email addresses and cell phone numbers of our current undergraduates to maintain that connection once they've graduated. And here on our form, we also ask them what they were involved with on campus. You, for your organization, might ask what other causes they support, or what other things are important to them or relevant. Whatever you think might give you more of a sense of your donors. I found that young people like to know that they're cared about. They like to know that they're sharing information about themselves that's relevant to your cause. We also have a check mark for what they're proudest to know their gift support. This again puts a little bit more ownership in the hands of the young donor, not necessarily regarding where their gift is allocated if you have those restrictions at your cause, but rather just a sense of their pride. This again is something you could collect. You could certainly encapsulate it in survey results, but it's also a nice opportunity merely for your donor to let you know that they're thinking conscientiously about making their gift. As we get further down the form, this is where we start really targeting information about the Ivy Stone Society and the Benjamin Franklin Society. Here we're teaching our donors about being loyal. So rather than just saying, here's my gift, we give them the opportunity to give a loyal gift or to promise their annual support. Them taking that moment to say, this is something I support, and now that I think about it, I plan to support it again in the future. The gift form is a great chance for them to have that conversation within themselves and then to reflect that back to you. And also the gift amount. If you were to bring a standard gift form to a meeting with a young person, that form might say $1,000, $10,000. We want our young people to get a better sense of how much their peers are giving. So on our gift form, we have separate striations that would be different from a gift form for an older alumnus or alumna. And in this case, we also differentiate what is a Benjamin Franklin Society leadership level gift. We make it clear to our young donors that we do have different expectations for their giving, and we put that right on the gift form. It's a helpful tool I found to have not only the same case for support in a young person's perspective, but also a young person's perspective on all of the materials that you might bring with you. This goes down even to something as simple as your gift form. We also have matches and challenges. This is an example of a great challenge we have, which extends beyond the 4 youngest years. This is our Get Personal campaign. It's our Making History Endowed Undergraduate Named Scholarship Program. And here it would be a $75,000 commitment only for a young person who would normally need $150,000 to endow a scholarship. But with the generosity of a challenge opportunity, the other $75,000 is matched. This is a great chance for a young person to be a part of a strategic mission to increase financial aid at the university, in your organization, whatever it is. If there's a large opportunity gift and you would like to see more young people be associated with that opportunity, before they have the capacity, consider a challenge gift. This builds a relationship with your donor and that part of your organization. So here we see young donors making gifts at a scholarship level, realizing the impact, realizing the benefits, the relationship with those students, and even 10 years out of school, to already have a named scholarship because of this opportunity allows them to consider how many more scholarships they might offer in the future. This is essential. There are many ways to do challenges. There are many ways to do matches. Here are a few examples. I will offer a bit of caution. Matches and challenges take a lot of work behind the scenes, and they're not always successful. I will say last year, when we were focused on participation for our youngest donors, we did have a challenge. We were going for 2,000 donors, and we had the 2K for 20K challenge. This is a stewardship magnet we sent. The challenge was successful. We were able to gain many new donors because they knew with 2,000 participating, we would receive an additional $20,000 as a challenge from our executive board. Many people were excited to take part. We were very pleased. But there was a lot of work that went into that process, and we've seen mixed results in the field. So take care. Make sure that your implementation strategy is well thought out. Now I'd like to focus a little bit more on stewardship. That example of the magnet is just one of the many things that we do to make sure our donors know how important it is that they are a part of our cause. Now, of course, besides stewardship, there's also reunions, events, all the different ways that people can be very social, again, that buzzword. And that's one place where I will focus. Let's start there. We have many events and many opportunities for our young people to get involved. And going back to Why Penn, which I mentioned earlier in our case study, this is the landing page for Why Penn, and you'll see across the top places where our young people can learn about the events that we do, the volunteerism, and other ways to stay engaged. It's very key that not only we're talking to our young people about giving back philanthropically, but also giving back to the community. We have many events surrounding being young, being associated with our cause. And for example, we've got our annual reunions because we're university alumni-based fundraising. We can capitalize on the 5th reunion or the 10th reunion or whatever it is. And here you see some co-branding for the class of 2002. Come back for the reunion, be a part of our events, be social, and you'll see that the Penn Fund is included. We want our young alumni to understand that being a part of something by attending an event is equally as important as giving back, and we use those messages wherever possible. We have many event models. What you see here, the Why Penn series, Alumni Giving Back, is a boutique opportunity for many of our volunteers to lead the way. This was an opportunity for some young alumni living in Chicago to host a small reception, recruiting more young donors. And we sent them a box of supplies that they could use, branding, coasters, napkins, pins, whatever it was, and the opportunity then for their donors to give back, their friends, their classmates. This was a chance to recruit more support, and it was all volunteer-led. On the other end of the spectrum, we of course had university-led initiatives. Here is a picture from our Benjamin Franklin Society reception, again for our leadership donors. Either ends of the spectrum, volunteer-led and staff-led. And then there are fusions, more event opportunities to get your young alumni or your potential donors more interested in your cause. Event fundraising has been successful here in this program, and we're seeing a lot of success in the field for young people. This was an opportunity in New York. We brought out a campus rock star, beloved. It was a staff-led and staff-financed event, but it was heavily organized, and the outreach was heavily based in our volunteer networks. So here's a good example of the fusion between staff and volunteer support. Of course, other ways to network are online, LinkedIn and Facebook. We recently created a LinkedIn group just for our youngest members of our Leadership Giving Society. This is a chance for them to see who else is participating at that level, and it gives them an intangible opportunity, a benefit to reach out to those who also feel well associated with your cause. So make sure that you are using your social media to the best advantage where your young people are already located, and that's online. Now going back again to our recognition or insider information, what does that mean for your young donors? Well, I think it's very important to always let them know who is giving back and to let them know that you're focused on those young people who are doing so. So here is our class of 2011 draft honor roll, and whenever I go on a donor visit, I always bring a copy with me. It gives them an opportunity to see where else the support is coming from, perhaps from people they know, and also to demonstrate that your cause is reliant on support from young people. Also, insider information. Treat your young donors like they have access to something that others don't. I think young people respond very well to this, and it might come in the form of a quarterly update. So what would you put in there? Consider again your top 10, a competitive spirit, the giving totals, the progress to goals. This is important because young people are very interested in the impact, but also in the total impact, their gift and everybody else's. Young people might have a lower capacity to give, so focusing on the aggregate, the total amount that's being contributed by other young donors creates a sense of real and profound impact that they can make change, maybe not from their $25 gift, but from the 2,000 $25 gifts that were collected. And again, focusing on volunteer activity. What can they do? Young people are willing to volunteer, and I have found that my young donors are the ones who are more likely to come to me and say, I'd like to volunteer, than those who are not necessarily giving back. So look to your donors for volunteerism and allow them to help build your network. Of course, the word impact keeps coming to mind. Throughout this general thread where you're giving them information and you're putting it online and you're sending them emails and you're having events, always think about the impact and then share this with your young donors. This is a buzzword, but imagine, what does it mean for your organization and how are young people a part of that? I really feel that the more informed your young donors are, the more likely they are to help out in many ways. So give them the information they need, but do it in the context of a young person where they are associated with other young people, where their impact grows at a rate that is appropriate for their age and capacity to give. So let them know. You might not expect them to name a new center or to build a new walkway or to solve a global crisis. But on a microcosmic and then building up to macrocosmic level, you can appreciate the impact your young donors are having in ways that will allow them to feel more involved and connected, starting from now and for the rest of their life. In this presentation, we started with some information about targeting donor information and some places to put that information. Also thinking more about the levels that you're asking for gifts. What is an appropriate gift for a young person? Put that out in front of your young donors with the expectation that they do not yet have the capacity to give at a level of someone who's much more seasoned. And also think about your initiatives. Is it events? Is it stewardship? How are you reaching out to young people? In what ways are you getting them involved in your community to allow them to feel more excited to be a donor down the line? This is all about helping millennials help the causes that they already support. And if that's your cause, think about all of the different ways that you can make it easiest for them to give back. Today we had a few goals in this session. I wanted to implement some tools here at the University of Pennsylvania, and I was successful. I hope that you're able to take some of those tools to your organization as well, to shift them in ways that are appropriate, but to see what might work. I hope that our case study was a little bit helpful in sharing some news, that this does pay off. If you focus on your young people, you will see returns. We've been grateful for the support we've received from our young donors, and I hope you'll see the same as well if you start focusing more on them. Again, these are some of the latest approaches, and the field is constantly changing. So in a few years, maybe in a few months, we'll be able to talk again and see what other new initiatives might be working very well. In any case, again, I'm Dvorit Mausner, representing the University of Pennsylvania. I'm happy to stay in touch. I'm so pleased you joined me today for this session, Inspiring Millennials to Give, and I do hope you take away many important lessons from the rest of MCon. Thanks for joining us.